So back in 2017, I bought a bunch of coins, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the price tripled in a month. Did I lose money or did I make money? What's up, you guys? I'm back with another video, and this one is about cryptocurrency. I'm very excited to do this video. Ever wondered how are people becoming millionaires with cryptocurrency? I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing about cryptocurrency, blockchain, Bitcoin since the last few months, and you don't know what these are and how are these making people millionaires. So what's the buzz all about? What exactly is Bitcoin? What's this magical blockchain everyone's raving about? Is this a future technology or just a bubble? Should you invest in crypto? How can you invest in crypto? How much you should invest in? Which exchanges you can use to invest crypto on? Which coins should you invest in? Some really fun facts. And how has my experience been investing in crypto since 2017? Did I lose money or did I make money? We'll find that out in today's video. And some very important do's and don'ts if you decide to invest in cryptocurrency. If you're new around here, this channel is all about business, mindset, spirituality, and my journey as an entrepreneur. Give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every single time I post a new video. Why are governments and financial sectors across the globe fighting against the digital currencies? And one of India's biggest cryptocurrency exchanges at that time had to shut down in 2019. Why are people scared of cryptocurrency? Well, there is a lack of understanding and knowledge. So as the prices started going up in 2020 after being low since 2018, the cryptocurrency buzz is back. And there's also been talks about banning cryptocurrency in India. So what's happening with that? Well, every time the prices go up, the buzz is back. There are talks of banning crypto, which happened in 2018 as well, but then nothing major was done about it. But India wants crypto, so let's see what happens with that. I think in 2016, the term Bitcoin started popping up, but I didn't take it seriously. I didn't want to learn more about it, what it was. I wasn't interested. But then a friend asked me if I knew about Bitcoin, and I was like, I've heard about it, but I don't know what exactly that is. So I rushed back home and Googled what Bitcoin was. But obviously it was hard to understand at first. But I didn't invest in cryptocurrency till 2017. More on that later in this video. I know it's hard to wrap your head around it. That's how I felt when I first heard about it. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain. It was so new. It still is. It's a new technology. So what is a Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a form of digital currency that runs on distributed ledger technology. Before I tell you what exactly Bitcoin is, let me tell you this original Bitcoin story from centuries ago. So centuries ago, on a tiny Micronesian island of Yap, existed these giant stone discs called Rai, which were used as a symbolic form of money. Rai stones were considered extremely valuable, and they were so heavy and huge, even larger than the people who owned them, that it was so difficult to keep moving them. So every time there was a transfer of ownership of these coins, or when a coin was gifted or sold to somebody else, to ensure that the ownership was known and indisputable, so people would make mental notes about who owned which coin. So the ownership of coins was public knowledge. So rather than one central system keeping a record of the ownership, everyone on the island kept a track of the transactions. That's a decentralized ledger. So even after the transfer of ownership, the coin does not move. It's at the same place. Bitcoin works on the same principle, except that it's encrypted, intangible, and basically invisible to human senses. Now think of these giant stones as Bitcoins. There's a fixed supply of Bitcoins in the market. There can only be 21 million Bitcoins. That's how it was designed. Bitcoin was launched in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who this person is, or if it's a group of people, no one knows. So in the first 7 months of launching the Bitcoin, this person or this group of people mined 1.1 million Bitcoins. The price of Bitcoin was $0 when it was launched, and it hit $1 in February 2011. $1. And in 2010, a programmer bought 2 pizzas with 10,000 Bitcoins, which were worth $30 at that time. And today, one Bitcoin is about $54,000 as of today. So how much would 10,000 Bitcoins be worth? So let's discuss what blockchain is. Let me break it down to you in extremely simple words. Imagine person A wants to send Bitcoin to person B. There's a transaction. This transaction needs to be verified by someone, but there's no central regulatory body. In centralized ledger, your banks keep a track of all your transactions. You buy coffee, you buy pizza, the bank updates its ledger. Now, if a person in India wants to send money in US dollars to someone in USA, can you directly do that? No, you would have to go to a bank, you would have to use PayPal. Now the banks are going to convert your INR to dollars, verify who the sender is, who the receiver is, charge you some fees, and then credit the amount to the receiver. So basically there's a third party involved. So who is going to verify the A to B Bitcoin transaction? Now instead of one centralized body, there are thousands of people who are ready to verify this transaction. These are the miners, not miners, miners. Now the transaction is cryptographic. It is sent to these miners, they validate the transaction, which is a complex mathematical problem that they need to solve. So now obviously they're not going to do it for free. So when they validate a transaction, they're rewarded in cryptocurrency. Now the data of all these transactions are bundled into blocks, which are then chained together. This is why the name blockchain. Now imagine two boxes. So this one is filled with all the data, and this one already has a lot of data. So when this one is filled with the data, they're both chained together. This one is chained with the previous block. So Bitcoin runs on blockchain, which is a distributed ledger technology. Now you might think this is such an easy way to get free Bitcoins. No, it's not. Number one, you need to invest in a mining machine. These mathematical problems are really complex. They are solved by trial and error, and the odds of solving the problem are about 1 in 5.9 trillion. It can take a computer years to find a solution to the mathematical problem, and then it also uses a lot of electricity, so it's not that easy. Now to send a Bitcoin to someone, there's no geographical barrier, there's no third party involved, the fees is very low, and it's really fast. I think centralized ledgers give too much power to one entity, so they can abuse their power, charge ridiculous amount of fees, and make mistakes. Versus in a decentralized ledger, since everyone has the ledger, it cannot be abused. When you send a Bitcoin, ledger on thousands of computers is updated. While there's an unlimited supply of print money, I mean, whenever governments want, they can print and pump more money into the system. Money becomes less and less valuable. While Bitcoins can only be 21 million, out of which 18.5 million have already been mined, out of which 20% is said to be either in inaccessible wallets, or it's stuck or lost. It's all about demand and supply. The demand can keep rising if Bitcoin is used for a real purpose. Otherwise, it's just a speculative bubble, just like the Dutch tulip mania. I'll just quickly share this story. You have to know this. So in Holland, during the early to mid 1600s, when speculation drove the value of tulip bulbs to extremes, at the height of the market, the rarest tulip bulbs traded for as much as 6 times the average person's annual salary. Why, you ask? Tulips were imported to Holland, and they became an item of luxury for the affluent. And because it was expensive, it became a status symbol, and the demand went up. People started trading, and everyone was making money simply by possessing some of these rare bulbs. And the prices started going down because people had purchased these bulbs on credit, hoping to repay the loans when they sell their bulbs for a profit. But once the prices started declining, the holders were forced to liquidate, sell their bulbs at any price, and to declare bankruptcy in the process. So by the end of 1637, the bubble burst. So people often compare Bitcoin with the Dutch tulip mania, but the tulips had no real use. Now the big question, is it legal or illegal? So back in 2018 in India, banks started blocking payments and withdrawals from the cryptocurrency exchanges. And the same ban was lifted in 2018 itself after a Supreme Court decision. The banks were allowed to have a business relationship with the exchanges. So as of today, trading in cryptocurrency is legal. So what's the whole about? Basically, it's legal, but it's not legal tender. That means you cannot pay for your coffee at Starbucks with a Bitcoin. Or for that matter, you cannot say, oh, today I do not have money, please can I pay with Reliance Company's shares? No, that's not allowed either. But investment in stocks is legal, right? So I hope you understand the difference here. So it is legal, but not legal tender. Remember that 8 p.m. address by our Prime Minister where he said that 1,000 and 500 rupee note are not legal tender anymore. That means if you go to any store, they're not going to accept 500 and 1,000 rupee notes because they're not a legal form of exchange anymore. So should you invest in cryptocurrency? So Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, blockchain, they are a revolutionary technology for sure. Now there are two ways Bitcoin can be used. One is it being legal tender as a form of money, as a form of exchange. And second is an asset class like gold, real estate, for wealth creation as a form of investment. Now for Bitcoin to be a medium of exchange, it should be easy to send and receive. A lot of financial experts do believe that Bitcoin has potential to be a medium of exchange. But I think because of the volatile nature of Bitcoin, it cannot really be used for small payments like paying for pizza or paying for your coffee. It should have a stable purchasing power to be a good medium of exchange. Now, the second purpose of Bitcoin, which it's serving pretty well, is as a storehold of wealth. I think it qualifies as a great place to store your wealth, like gold. If you watch this video, you would know that gold is one of my favorite forms of investment. A lot of people, including banks and governments, keep their reserves in gold, and Bitcoin is often called digital gold. And we do need assets like gold right now because governments are printing a lot of money, and money becomes less and less valuable because there's so much of it. Paper currency can be printed in unlimited amounts. It can be manipulated, devalued. It's controlled by the government. Bitcoin and gold cannot be manipulated like fiat money. The main reason why Bitcoin is considered as a good investment is the high liquidity associated with it. There's a high market demand for Bitcoin. Now, the thing is, we live in a world where the government can shut down anything with just one law. Cryptocurrency is not regulated, at least not yet. And as Bitcoin is decentralized, the network is such that it cannot be shut down by one government. But they can ban cryptocurrency. Banks can block payments and withdrawals. Government is not going to sit back and let Bitcoin replace the existing monetary system so easily. And there have been concerns about it being used for money laundering, criminal activities. So regulation would come for sure. And I think that's good. That's going to make more and more people invest in cryptocurrency, and it'll make it more trustworthy. Regulation will bring more financial institutions to invest in Bitcoin. So you should definitely invest in Bitcoin and other good coins. But for now, only as a small portion of your portfolio because it's highly volatile. It's not regulated. And if government decides to ban it, or if better technology comes along, anything can happen. So it's safe to invest 7 to 10% of your portfolio in cryptocurrency. So if everything goes well, you could be very, very rich. But if it all goes down to zero, you could lose it all, like people did in 2018. People lost their entire savings. People lost their houses. My friend lost a lot of money recently. So the key is not to be greedy. Start small and invest only what you can afford to lose. And before you invest in cryptocurrency, you have to know how volatile it is. So in December 2017, it had touched the then high, which was $19,000. And just a few weeks before that, I had invested in crypto. More on that in a bit. But of course, I didn't sell it because I thought it would go even higher. But it crashed and touched almost $3,400 in 2018. Now, since around September, October 2020, it's been going up, and it's touched $58,000 in March 2021. Now, as of today, while filming this video, the price is $54,000. It can crash, it can go down any minute. So you need to consider how volatile it is before you start investing in cryptocurrency. Now you must be thinking, oh my god, where am I going to get $54,000? No, you do not have to buy an entire Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of that, which is the best part, because in stocks, you have to buy one stock, one share of a company. You cannot buy half a share. But in cryptocurrency, you can buy half a Bitcoin, you can buy 0.0001 Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin. You can buy a teeny portion of the Bitcoin. You can have a Bitcoin. Now, which coins should you invest in? Look at their market caps. Bitcoin has about 68% of the total market cap of cryptocurrency. And then we have Ethereum at 12%. Buy coins that have a large market cap, that have a proven track record. You can buy the small coins as well. There are so many of them. But before you invest in a coin, research about that coin. What technology is behind that coin? Because it's your money at the end of the day, and you can lose it and you can make money. You can keep Bitcoin and Ethereum as long-term investments. Most of the small projects are not going to survive in the long term. So you can invest in some small coins for short period of time. And again, I'm repeating, don't go all in. Only invest according to your risk appetite, because you can lose it all. Only invest the amount that if lost, your life doesn't come to a standstill. Now, some very important do's and don'ts before you invest in cryptocurrency. Don't buy any cryptocurrency all at once. Price can go up or down right after you've invested. And if it goes down and you have funds, you'll have a chance to buy more of it. Don't buy if you cannot hold. So back in 2017, I bought a bunch of coins, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the price tripled in a month. But I held on to them because I thought it would go up. But in January 2018, the prices crashed. The great crypto crash, and the price did not recover until 2020. So instead of selling them at a lesser price, I held on to them for 3 years, and I sold some last year when the prices went way above than I had paid for. And honestly, I forgot about them. I was not checking the prices at all. It was when my brother told me, hey, the prices are up, I rushed to sell them. I did not waste a minute there. So anything can happen. It can go up, prices can crash anytime, you can lose money. If you don't have steel conviction, don't buy. And another reason why I forgot about my investment was it was a very small portion of my portfolio, less than 10%. Like I said, invest what you can afford to lose. So I didn't care about that money. I just didn't want to sell it at a loss. Now you can either keep your crypto at an exchange or move it to a safer place. The exchanges can also get hacked, you don't know. So it's safe to store large amounts of crypto in hardware wallets. But remember your password. Stephen Thomas, a programmer from San Francisco, forgot the password to his $220 million worth of Bitcoin fortune. Can you believe it? So he only has 2 attempts left now. If he gets these wrong, the password will encrypt itself, making the wallet inaccessible. Educate yourself as much as you can about crypto. You're watching this video, that's a good start, but there's so much more you can learn. Another important tip is when you send Bitcoin to someone to their wallet, double check, triple check the address before you hit transfer, because the transaction is irreversible. You cannot ask your Bitcoin back if you send it to a wrong address, because no one knows who the address belongs to and where the person is in the world. So now, which exchanges you can use to invest crypto on? These are the exchanges that I have used and I trust. Internationally, there's Binance. In India, there's CoinDCX. I'm not being paid to say these. I have used them personally, and there are many more. So you can do your research. With every passing year, big names are investing in cryptocurrency. Elon Musk's Tesla Motors has invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and it may soon start accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment. And there are a few more companies, and I think that's very encouraging. A lot of companies are using blockchain technology. Barclays, Unilever, Ford, just to name a few. Bitcoin's market cap right now is 1 trillion. And the market cap of gold is 11 trillion. In the next decade, if everything goes well, we'll see a lot more people investing in cryptocurrency instead of putting all their money in stocks, gold, real estate. I think more education on blockchain and Bitcoin is needed for both governments and people. This will make the investors and newbies to make the right choice when it comes to investing in crypto. So I hope this video was helpful. I enjoyed doing my bit. Share this with your friends so they can learn. What do you think about crypto? Are you going to start investing? Tell me in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every single time I post a new video. See you in my next video.